Welcome to this episode of The Essence of Leadership. And today we have an amazing guest, and she is following our theme called The Pivot. So you guys must really tune in today. But before I jump in and start spoiling everything for you, let me tell you a little bit about our amazing guest. Her name is Aleisha Kelly. All right, so you guys may be thinking, I heard that name before, and you probably have. Aleisha is an award-winning entrepreneur, children's author, that's probably why you know her name, and youth literacy advocate. She is the founder of and CEO of Kool Kings, an independent children publishing company dedicated to creating engaging, diverse books and educational resources that inspire children to read, dream, and believe in themselves. Since launching Kool Kings, Aleisha has written and published multiple children books focused on literacy, confidence, financial literacy, responsibility, and positive character development. Her work has reached families, schools, libraries, churches, and community organizations, while her literacy initiatives have helped place hundreds of books into the hands of young readers through donations and community partnerships. A recognized leader in entrepreneurship, Aleisha is a grant recipient, pitch competition winner, and member of the prestigious V200 National Association of Black Women Entrepreneurs Honoree Program. She is passionate about building partnerships with schools, businesses, healthcare organizations, and community leaders to expand children's access to books and literary opportunities. Through every story she writes and every partnership she builds, Aleisha remains committed to one mission: helping children discover the confidence, joy, and lifelong opportunities that begin with reading. So with that being said, guys, welcome Aleisha Kelly to the podcast today. I'm so excited to get right into her story. So Aleisha, first of all, I want to say thank you for giving your time today to share insights that could help so many people.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. So thank you for the invite.
Awesome. So let's get right into this pivot conversation here. Okay. So, well, first of all, I'll ask, is there anything you want to share about Kool Kings before we jump in? Just so people will know. I know you're an amazing author, but maybe there's something you want to share right off.
Absolutely. So a lot of people have asked me, where did you get the title Kool Kings, being a woman? Right. So I always have to explain. Some people get it automatically, but I am a mom to 3 sons. So I like to say that this is actually their company, but I'm just igniting the flame. So as we do like in-person events and things like that, my 3 sons are actually on the scene helping with the transactions. I'm just getting them, used to the feeling of running the business, because I hope to pass the torch on to them, right, so that they can fully operate and run the business one day.
That was the question I was going to ask you later on. Kool Kings, how did you come up with that? So that's awesome. Okay, one last thing. Share the ages of the boys, because that's interesting. They're out there working early.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been at it for 5 years. But my eldest is 15. I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old son. And it's like a competition. So it's normally the 13-year-old who's out there trying to get the more sales, because they think they're getting all the money based off of their sales. And I'm telling them that's not how it works. Right. But yes, but they started when my eldest was in 6th grade, getting out there. So now he's about to be in the 10th grade. So yeah, they're pretty much used to it now.
So they're small business owners that are being groomed to take over the business.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's get into unpacking Kool Kings. So when you think about you starting this business, what was that led you to starting this at the beginning?
So for me, as a mom to sons, to Black sons, I was looking for literature that had Black male leads, and I couldn't find enough books. Yes, we went to the library and rented books, but there wasn't really nothing there either. So we decided to write our own story. So I started with our first book, Sunday is Fun Day, just a fun project. for us to do as a family, me and my sons. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, okay, we can actually do more of these. And so we started to write more books, and I got the kids engaged, and we did like audio recordings with their voices. And then, by book 3, I'm like, okay, we can make this into a business because we are actually selling the books. So that's how it started. It's just me looking to fix a problem. Like for me, I know I'm not the only Black mother who's struggling with finding literature with books that represents her kids and her boys specifically. So I can help me and help somebody else at the same time.
Okay, so you hit the nail on the head just starting with Pivot right there. And let me remind the audience what Pivot stands for. It's an acronym that stands for perspective, intention, values, ownership, and transformation. And you going to the library with your sons, not seeing the literature that you felt would be more appealing to them, more appealing to your community, you had a reframe. You were like, wait a minute. Okay, we can keep reading these same books or complaining about the problem, or we can reframe it and actually find a solution to it. That is what the pivot is about, Aleisha. You can sit in it, right, in the challenge and feel stuck, or you can start thinking, how can I reframe this? How can I make this work for me? And I love everything you share because you're like, yeah, we checked out these books, we made it fun. And then we were like, well, we can do our own books. And then from there, you built to say, oh, we can make a business out of this because we're already selling the books.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man. Okay. And you talked about ownership, how you're like building it out. You guys have been working in it for 5 years. Your 13-year-old son is so excited about it. He's like, yeah, I want this money. Let's get out here and sell these books. And you're talking, you also alluded to earlier how your goal down the line is to transition this business over to your sons. So what I will ask you is when you think about like just the overall like opportunities that you have for this project, well, I'll say your projects, upcoming projects, what comes up for you?
For me, we've actually grown beyond just selling books, our own books. So this is another pivot that we had to do. With business, everyone who has a business know that there's roller coasters. You have the highs and the lows.
Right.
For us, it was, after 2021, we had a lot of sales going on, but our sales as far as from business to customer started to slow down. Mm-hmm. So I love joining different business cohorts. I've joined if you see the blurs of all the certificates, those aren't all degrees. 2 of them are, but the rest are certificates from being in business cohorts. And I started to join procurement classes. And so that helped us to learn how to go for contracts. So we won a school district contract in Katy, Texas. Okay. So now our pivot is that we don't only just sell our books, we sell children's books from other authors. So what I want to teach my kids is not just how to sell our own products, but to how to go into business to sell books from other authors as well, because there's more money in that. So now that we are transitioning from just being a business to customer, I'm trying to slowly teach my kids what it means to be business to business. Specifically, now when we go to different events, I have books from other authors and like, well, that's not our book. So why are we selling it? So I'm trying to get them business savvy in the procurement process as well. So that's what I really want to pass on to them is not just how to sell your own product, but also how you can scale with selling other people's products as well and supporting other authors.
That is fantastic. And I want you to expound on that a little bit. How did your perspective change, right? Because you were selling the books that you guys did as your fun projects. What was the catalyst for that?
Honestly, I actually had a business meeting, a cohort meeting where I broke down crying during a meeting. And because I was transitioning I had to focus more on the business to business. And I was sad because I set this business up for consumers. And I just assumed that I would get more support in our community, but it was bittersweet. But I won this contract, but I'm like, no, I want people in my community to buy our books. And I realized that may not be what God, all he has for me. And then after winning the contract, I'm like, oh, this is a little bit easier. They're just picking from the catalog and I can buy books from other authors, wholesale price and make more money. But it was bittersweet because it's like, that's not what my intentions were. I just wanted to be able to sell my books. So I realized in that moment that, okay, this is what business is all about. It may not be exactly the way you plan for it to be, but this is what's going to make us to have a sustainable business, is to transition and to pivot into something else that I never expected that I would be doing. So now I'm happy about it. Now I'm filling out any bidding on contracts left and right.
Right, right. Oh, that you said a mouthful there, Aleisha, because to your point, right? You went in thinking we're going to sell our books. You see these bigger opportunities and you're like, wait a minute, this causes for something different. Again, you could have stopped right there and said, you know what? I'm good. This is where, the vision that, my sons and I put together, this is where we're going to stop until we find something else. Again, the pivots are so important, Aleisha. And I think it goes back to what we said earlier, changing the way you think about it. Yes, it impacted you emotionally. And you shared the fact that you shed some tears. That's normal. That's the human part of us, right? But to come back to this thing and go back and say, you know what? I get to process my emotions, but I get to come right back and decide how I want to move forward. And I see the benefit. It might not be what I like right now, but I think I can do this. And now you have other books, you're selling them, you're helping other authors. So it's a win-win for everybody. You guys are getting paid, they're selling their books, getting their names out there, building credibility, all of the things, and everybody wins.
Right. And now I'm selling. I'm also, my books are part of that catalog. So now I would have never not been able to sell my books to Texas because it wouldn't have been appealing just my titles. They needed a lot of titles because it's a school district, not just one school. So I think there's 216 elementary schools within that school district. So it wouldn't have been strong enough for me to just offer the 8 books I've written. So now I understand. It's like, oh, okay. So like you said, it's a win-win, but that perspective wasn't there in the beginning. So
yeah, and I will say, just for me, and I know we talked offline, and I was telling you I've done some coaching and all of that. I've been doing leadership coaching, Aleisha, for 17 years total, 5 years full time. And what I found in, of course, entrepreneurs as well as business owners, maybe they're doing it part time, as well as corporations. I think the biggest obstacle is the perspective shifting. It is so hard for people to see that there's another opportunity or another option that they could potentially explore, even if they don't do it right now, right? Just to know, hey, I might down the line want to explore this other, avenue.
Because you're so confident, and we have our planners and we have our business plans, and we're just so confident that everything is going to work exactly how we mapped it out. And I'm a Christian, and I know, I'm like, God says that we make our plans, but he orders our steps. And that's been what's happening, like for real. It's like, but Lord, I was so confident that I was going to go down this path. This amount of family members were going to support me. And when that didn't happen, it was like, oh my gosh, what's the point? But then, the pivot comes. It's like, oh, now I get it.
Right, right. And you hit on something when you talked about, of course, your Christianity, your beliefs, and your family supporting you. What values or beliefs needed to shift for you to step into, wait a minute, I got 8 books, but I'm going to have a catalog of books for 216 schools. Like, what had to shift within you to just step into it full, with both feet jumping into it?
For me, what had to shift was not being on social media and watching everybody else's wins. You see the social media posts with everybody with all the packages. Oh, it's shipping day. There's 100 packages with their logos on it. And it's like, I need to stop focusing on that and make sure that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do with my business not on my timeline, but trust God's timeline. Like, there's some things that there was a book that I created and I rushed to get it out. And like 3 months later, I'm looking like, that paragraph doesn't make sense. And it didn't hit as hard as I wanted to. It didn't have the amount of success that I wanted, but it's so much worse to have the bad reviews than it is to fix it when it's on a smaller scale. So what I learned, my values is to not compare yourself to other businesses, and to really take on constructive criticism from coaches. I've been coached before. Really listen to people who are not your family, because your family is like, we just want to tell you what you want to hear. Right. Take the constructive criticism and really think about what people are saying, and try to, just take it in love and redevelop what you're working on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing I'm going to ask you to expound upon, you're answering all the questions before I could get there, Aleisha. So the ownership piece, right? You took ownership of what you were looking at every day and comparing yourself, like your thoughts, right? You said, hey, I stopped looking at people on social media. That's their business. That's their journey. Right. Mine is totally different. You took ownership of who you thought was going to support you. Like, this is where, I thought my family and, the people that I love were going to show up in this light. They didn't. Okay. What else do I need to do? I don't know if you understand how many people get stuck there. In a lot of sessions, I've spoken to people and they're like, my job or my business was supposed to be X. And then when it doesn't play out that way, people start to spiral. And it makes my heart smile that you're saying, I took ownership of the things that I have control over. I can change these things. I can't change the people that didn't show up. I can't even change the people that didn't buy the books. But what I can do is, are these things over here. I don't know if you understand how many people that inspires, because so many people are stuck at a crossroads and are just trying to figure out how to navigate the ambiguity.
Right. And I've heard, after 2021, there were so many businesses that got started after COVID-19. To me, it seemed like it spiked in 2021. And there were so many business groups that I was a part of. And I'm trying to find these people. And they were so passionate at that moment. And then I'm like, what are they doing now? They're not posting. Some of their accounts have been deleted on Facebook. And it's like, how did that happen? And then somebody told me recently, like, I don't really pay attention to a lot of the business sayings. A lot of people are saying that, someone told me recently that 5 years, you made it past 5 years. Most people didn't. I didn't realize that. They don't make it past 5 years. And I'm like, wow, a lot of the people that were so excited about their business, they're not doing it anymore. And it's like, how do you go from being so passionate to saying, I'm done?
Right.
So for me, that's not my testimony. So I don't understand it. It's like, I don't have the option to quit. It's just not in me.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you what I've seen, right? Like, and this is just, people like, well, Demetra, you work in the corporate space. Leadership is the same everywhere. The big difference is the impact and the money you're dealing with, right? The amount of people, the impact and the money. What I've seen is I pulled up a stat that I wanted to share with you. And this, it's actually a few of them. And it talks about how, I want to make sure I'm getting it correct. It said by 2030, nearly 40% of the skills required for jobs and businesses are expected to change. And 22% of those opportunities, be it a job, starting a business, will be disrupted through growth, decline, or transformation. So that speaks exactly to what you're saying. And for me, I started my business in 2021. So March was 5 years for me. So we made it past 5 years, Aleisha.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you to you as well. And we both can think about like the things that have had to change in regards to our views about what our business should or should not look like. Yeah. So, and to your point, like when you think about the ownership, the transformation, all of those things, you have to be willing. You have to be willing to fail forward. Some people are not willing to do that. And sometimes that failing experience is public. And I mean, you mentioned a book. You said you rushed and published a book. It didn't turn out the way you thought. You could have said, you know what? This project is it. I put money, energy, my heartfelt emotions into this thing, and I'm walking away. But you didn't.
Right. Absolutely. And I do, now that when you're talking about that, it makes me think of my experience with I know everyone's heard of the Urban League, but with the Urban League of Atlanta in 2024, I pitched and I won $20,000.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm a pitching expert. I know how to do this. I won another pitch competition with Brandywine's Care. Brandywine's Care actually was the first one. I won $500. So I was winning pitches in 2024. Fast forward to 2026. I joined because, like I said, I continue to join cohorts. It's like going to college for free because I didn't go to college for business. So that's why I signed up. And there's usually some type of reward, like you get to pitch. 2026 this year, I joined United Way and I didn't win. And let me tell you, I was so devastated. And this time I was like, I'm going to win first place. My mom is going to come. My sister, my son, my 15-year-old was there and they didn't call my name. And I was so... And then I made it to the finalists. Let me say this. I'm still growing. I made it to the finalists. I still got $1,000. But for me, That wasn't winning. I wanted the 8,500, the top. I didn't win that. So,
Right.
But for me, it was a humbling experience because it's like, okay, I've been at it for so long. I've joined so many cohorts. I need to be able to celebrate. My sister said, "You won $20,000." This is us in the parking garage of the event of United Way when I didn't win. She was like, "You won $20,000. They didn't. You got to celebrate somebody else." At the moment, it's like, I don't want to hear that. Mm-hmm. So it was very humbling. It's like, Lord, why, would you bring me here? But I had to humble myself because it's like, we're all in this fight together.
Right.
And it was like, for a moment, I wanted to just take a break, but it's like, why? Because I was so spoiled in winning pitch competitions, but it's like, no, you got to keep on going, because for me, it wasn't just the money. It's that it was the audience. It was at the UPS Center. So you had, different bankers in there, different industries. April was in there. They're an accounting firm. So I was like, no one really saw my vision. Nobody voted for me. Like, how could I not win? I'm selling children's books. And it really attacked my confidence. But I had to move forward. And then someone came to me and said, you know what? I was pitching literacy bundles and I was pitching it for the school district. These people are not your audience for that.
Right.
The other people who won, they had like one lady, the lady who won top prize, she had a business podcast. Another lady had something where she was helping Black business owners. But I'm pitching something that they don't understand because we know in this time, there's a lot of people talking about books being banned. So they didn't realize that I was selling not just my books, but other books that have been approved and things like that. But that attacked my confidence. And I had to keep on going like, okay, just because that audience didn't see you doesn't mean that your business is not significant. But that hurt.
That is a nugget.
Yeah.
That is a nugget because that was public. Like you said, all of those people were there. And I love the fact that your sister stopped you in the garage. Like, okay, yes, we didn't get this. It didn't turn out the way that you thought, but look what you have done. And I tell, I'll say organizations or, individuals that I'm working with to keep a win list. A win list of our wins, because in those moments, Aleisha, as you can attest to, we will feel so down on ourselves and we will become our worst critic. And then we'll say, I didn't get anything. But your sister was like, no. You got 20,000 from this place. You've done this. And we need that at times. When we're going through that change, that pivot in how we're thinking, how we want to move forward, we need someone or something to remind us of our wins.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, because you kind of hinted on it, was, your values, how your thoughts were shifting. I'm intrigued by what are some of the things that became your non-negotiables when you were doing the pivot in regards to and you can share from any situation. Maybe it's the grant, maybe it's you enhancing the catalog, maybe it's your approach to understanding, hey, this is not my audience. I need to be more intentional with the pitch competitions that I'm entering. Like, what shifted for you?
What shifted from that is specifically what you just said, making sure that, because I still, don't get me wrong, I still sell my books in my bundles to consumers, but make sure you're pitching, know your audience first.
Right.
I had the opportunity with United Way, they let us know what type of businesses were going to be there. And I should have learned the audience first. So my non-negotiable is I'm not stepping on anyone's stage, wasting their time or mine. I'm going to make sure that I'm speaking to the right audience. And my second non-negotiable is whoever speaks to me, who I invite to speak to me in my business, making sure that I vet them out as well. I did kind of get a coaching from someone who really was kind of not present in that meeting, who probably could have caught that for me. Say, hey, Aleisha, this is a coaching for the pitch competition, who probably could have said, Aleisha, let's not, talk about this because you're not pitching in front of the school board. But making sure that you vet out the people who are speaking to you and trying to hype up your business as well, so that you guys can be aligned to go down the right path together.
Right. Alignment. That is what I hear you saying. Like, I need to be aligned in all of these avenues. Because granted, your energy probably was amazing. The presentation, maybe I'm a little biased because, I know you. So you went in and everything was great, but then they couldn't hear you. And that in itself is a nugget that I know I had to learn. It doesn't matter how great your message is if the audience in front of you is not ready to receive it or it's not for them. Right.
Right.
Because they can't see it. They can't buy into it. They're not going to support it in any fashion because it's not meant for them.
Right. Yeah, God didn't give them the vision. So I
Right.
have to be able to articulate the vision in a way that they understand it. Because the vision he gave me could work for the consumers and for the businesses, but I don't even think I prayed about it. It was like, I'm a pitch expert. I got this. And I'm looking at other people like, yeah, I got this. I'm selling children's books. Everybody knows that literacy rates are failing. And when I tell you, I was so humbled after that. I was like, I cried so much and my throat was so sore. And God was like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
But we need those moments sometimes. Is that for me, I felt bad because even I had to hold up that big $1,000 check next to the lady who had the $8,500. And I looked at the pictures that they posted and I wasn't smiling. And I was like, you know what? Somebody was celebrating with me when I won the 20,000. And there was 10 businesses at that pitch competition that didn't win. They were in the audience who were watching us win. 10 of us won and 10 of us didn't. 10 people didn't. And they sat there through the whole thing. So it's, for me, I learned that you have to celebrate with people because you want people to celebrate with you when you win. So that was very humbling for me. So moving forward, I hope that I won't react the same way if it ever happened that way ever again.
And you're sharing something I was going to ask about, taking ownership or responsibility for your growth in those moments. And you just said it, like when it doesn't go your way, look at what you can learn from it so you can walk away being a better person.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and to your point, those are hard moments, and we still rise another day, right? I said something to someone a couple of weeks ago, and I too was working on a project, and it didn't turn out the way that I thought. And I told my friend, I said, I fired myself for the rest of the day. I'll be back tomorrow. And we laughed about it because it happens to everybody. We take a moment, we process the emotion, you're frustrated, all of the things. And then you come back the next day and you're like, okay, what do I need to learn? What modifications, pivots do I need to make to really move forward and make that next step?
And then too, it's like, in the world of social media, because everybody was taking different picture angles and things like that, it's like, I really want to always show up in the best version of me for my business. So now you have this lady who won something. They're saying congratulations for this $1,000, and you have me looking like I don't appreciate it. Those images are on other people's websites. They're shared with United Way and things like that. And now I'm looking at that like, wow, I want to be able to, and I'm a mom. I'm a literacy advocate for kids. It's like, I want to be able to represent the business that shows, that, hey, it's okay if you don't get what you want, but still be appreciative, because $1,000 helped my business as well. But always for me, I've learned show up with the best version of you, especially when the cameras are rolling and people taking pictures, because those images are never going away. So
Absolutely. So as we begin to wrap up, I got a question for you. And I think I know somewhat of what you're going to say. Looking back, right, on your journey, who have you become as a result of the pivots that you've made?
So looking back, I started with my books as just being an author. So I started with just being an author. Then I became a business owner. And I didn't mention this, but I'm also an executive director of a nonprofit now called Leaders of Literature. So I'm going out into the community and I'm trying to get kids excited about reading, but having a nonprofit now helps me to get the financial support, because we've won grants to be able to give kids books for free. So we give brand new books to kids for free through the nonprofit. So just starting the business in 2021 as an author, moving on to a business owner, and now I'm an executive director. Like, I never thought that I would be able to handle that, because, nonprofits are not, you can't own nonprofits. So I had to hire a secretary. I had to hire a treasurer, a social media person. And now I have employees. So now have been shifted into a different level of leadership because they're looking for me for guidance. So, I definitely shifted from not being a business owner to being a leader all within 5 years. And I think had I not gone through the steps of 3 Kool Kings, I wouldn't have been able to get to being where I am with Leaders of Literature. So
you have some cool names, Leaders of Literature. I like it. I like that. I'll say next to last question. what advice would you give someone who's standing at the point of their own pivot and is afraid of failing and afraid of taking that next step?
It's always, I know that this sounds cliche, but it's always remember why you started. Mm-hmm. Not only remember why you started, but think about all of the hours that you invested into your business, because sweat equity to me is more valuable than the money. All the time, remember all the moments that you were passionate about, like, oh my gosh, this is it. I mean, it's a roller coaster. So you're going to get high and then you're going to get low in your emotions, but focus on, like you said, the wins. Make a win list and reflect on those moments, because you're going to have lows. It's going to happen. So remember why you started and try to get yourself hyped up about the things that you've already accomplished, and take a break. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to cry if you lose a competition or if you didn't get sales, but decide in your mind that quitting is not an option. As long as quitting is not an option, you'll be able to get to the other side. It just takes time. You're going to have to be patient.
Oh my gosh, that in itself speaks volumes. And I got some notes over here that I made while you were talking. And Aleisha, you have done some things and you're saying them. I don't know if you know that, you know how people don't realize what they've been doing. You made investments in your own growth. No one came from the Urban League and said, Aleisha, please join the Urban League. You took initiative to sort out resources that could help you grow. And some of those were probably paid. Some of those were probably free opportunities, but nonetheless, you took the initiative to make investments in your own professional development. The other thing I heard you say is that you were positioning yourself to take risk. Did you win them all? Absolutely not. But you still were willing to take the risk. And as you progressed, some risks became bigger than others. Mm-hmm. The other thing was you were open for criticism, knowing that neither one of us has the best idea in the room, right? There's always another option or another way we could consider as we move along in this journey of business. And the other thing was the 5-year mark. Like, to your point, everyone you started with, they're not with you any longer. Mm-hmm. And there are some people that could have surpassed you. They're like on to the next thing. That didn't, yes, it probably did at the beginning. So I don't want to say it didn't impact you. But as you began to grow, you were like, this is my journey, my race, my pace, right? I can continue on this in the way that benefits my family. And I'm not competing with anybody. If anything, I'm open to collaborating, right? Depending on the synergies. And all of those components that I heard you mention are, I will say, your unique recipe in regards to how you put them together, your unique recipe for success. So many people, Aleisha, are still trying to copy the other person's recipe because that worked for them. But it doesn't. And one of my favorite analogies is red velvet cake. Okay, I love red velvet cake. Okay, Aleisha, love it. But everybody red velvet cake don't taste the same. And they can have the same ingredients on the counter, but it does not taste, look, or, any of the same thing, because everybody's recipe for success is different. And I commend you and your sons for all of the work that you've done. The 5-year mark, celebrate both of us. That has been amazing to make it across the 5-year mark. And I'm so excited for you. I'm celebrating with you. And the other thing I'll ask is if you could share how people could find you, learn more about your books, connect with you, or anything of that sort for the audience.
Yes, absolutely. So for 3 Kool Kings, it's the number 3, KOOL Kings.com, 3KoolKings.com. And for Leaders of Literature, it's just leadersofliterature.org. So we love putting, like I said, brand new hardcover books in the hands of kids. So if you have a business and I'm assembling bookcases. So if you need a bookcase in your business, free of charge, reach out to me at Aleisha at leadersofliterature.org. I'll be happy to send some books your way.
Awesome. Well, guys, you heard it. Okay. We did the Essence of Leadership podcast with the theme pivot, and we had an amazing guest today. If you guys have questions about any of her fantastic projects. Don't hesitate to reach out. And if you know of anyone who has experienced a pivot, don't hesitate to hit me up in the DMs. But nevertheless, stay tuned to our next Essence of Leadership podcast with the pivot theme. Until next time, continue to have more out of your life. See you again soon.